Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Original Blueprint podcast. We are so excited because we're going to be talking about something tonight that you don't really hear people talking about. So get used to that because that's just what we're doing.
Right.
And also, and this is something that's been coming up for us that we've been doing a lot with, and it's creating from the unseen.
Yeah.
So some people are probably like, what the hell are you even talking about? But think about it. Every single thing in creation started with a thought. What? Like people, we don't, it doesn't occur to people that that's how it works.
Right.
So we've been on this journey for a bit. And when I really realized how creation works and that we are creators, I realized it when we wrote the book. So
Mm.
Tangenique and I were in the book together, and it was a thought that I said out loud in a room on Clubhouse one day. And then a few months later, Tangenique designed the cover, and then all of our stories were in it. And then we had the physical book in our hands. So we watched creation from a literal thought in our head
Mm-hmm.
come to the 3D. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And we're going to talk about what that looks like and what the different components of it are. So, Tangenique, I'll let you talk a little bit about it from your perspective, and then we're going to go in. I love it.
Okay. Yeah. Melissa really brought it to my attention. I really didn't see it like that, but it's true because um, first it's just like maybe a concept, a thought, whatever it is, and then the process that it takes in order for it to be like in a manifestation realm, which is where we are right now. That's from my standpoint. And it was amazing to see. It's not just the book per se, but just how things come about, and we were able to actually look at it as just something we discussed, and then everything went into motion, and then it ended up being something that we actually, like you said, had in our hands. So, and I just think about how like it's like that with everything because you don't really pay attention to your thoughts, you know. And we're filled with infiltrated with so much things that's going on in the world, but we have to really watch our thoughts because we really actually created our actual environment. You know,
All of it.
think about how you have children. Like you can go across the board.
Yeah.
If we're creators, that means that we created everything. I look at my house and I'm saying, like, I literally created this. You know what I mean? And so therefore, you know, if you don't really like something, then you could actually like create the change. To make it a different scenario for yourself. And actually, it's been a hard thing for me a hard concept for me to really look at because I'm having to,
Oh,
but
wait, you're cutting out a little bit.
I'm having to look at that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now. Okay.
I don't know what's going on. Please excuse us. I don't know, but it's having to be something that I have to really really look at because it's the truth. And I've noticed that once I started paying more attention, things developed in a different manner. And that's just what it is. It works, and that's all I can say about that. I mean, it's a hard concept sometimes because it
Well, it's
puts
a
it all
hard
in
pill
one.
to swallow.
It is. It
Because you're
is.
not just creating like tangible things, like something like you are an artist, so you create from the unseen all the time with your
Right.
art, which is so beautiful. And you launched your website this week, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank
And the fact that you can pull something from your imagination
you. Hmm.
and translate it out onto a canvas
Yes.
is just so beautiful. And like we do that with every aspect of our lives. We do that with the clothes we're wearing. It has to
Hmm.
be a thought in your head. You think to yourself, all right, I need clothes. Then you go to the store. Then you're like, all right, what do I want? And
Yeah.
it's literally in front of you, created.
That's crazy.
And it's with everything. But like, you know, when you're stuck in your little world or you're not really tapped in, that's the thing too. Like, are you listening and getting quiet with yourself? Are you tapped into your higher self where you're realizing you are the creator? Are you sitting and saying, what does my world look like right now? What do I want it to look like? And a lot of people aren't doing that because they don't realize they have the capability to change anything at any time.
Yeah.
And once you know, when you know better, you have to do better. So instead of creating, you know, random things like haphazardly, now you're in charge of your life. That is how this podcast came about. This was an intentional, created thought. Like we put our thoughts together and we put them in the universe and we're on this podcast.
Yes.
Period.
Period.
And it sounds so simple, but it is so simple. We make it hard because our brains aren't used to these concepts. So we're sitting here like, oh, I wish one day that I could do a podcast. I wish one day I could do da-da. You could do it right now.
Yeah.
And it's very empowering once you figure out how to do that. So like creating from the unseen, like we have to realize like our thoughts create everything in our outside world. Every single thing. So if you get intentional with what you're thinking, you can shift your paradigm in your real life. So what we talk about a lot is Neville Goddard and how he discusses what that looks like. So he talks about how your brain is the womb of creation. And he talks about how your imagination is God because you're creating from the unseen. So when you start putting these pieces together, you're like, oh, okay. So, but if you don't know, you just don't know. And once you do know and you start listening and start moving accordingly, things start falling into place for you. So we came across a video the other day, which led Tangenique to find a video from the creator that I had sent her. And I want you to explain about the 3D, 4D, 5D to kind of break it down for people, like what that looks like. The 3D realm we talk about is here, the 4D, and then the 5D. So I'll let you touch on that.
So it just really resonated with me, what he was saying, because it was like he started talking about the 3 different, I guess, levels, if you want to call it that. He was talking about like the 3D being like the problem area, I guess. If we're I guess for me, I was looking at like, if you're looking at it from that perspective, how we look at things and not knowing that we are creators. And then he was talking about the 4D being the imagination. And then he was talking about the 5D being like the meditation realm. So he was like saying that whatever's going on that you want to change, you have to create it in your imagination, which is the 4D. And then you 5D, which is the meditation, to be able to get the actual like download or the information on the how to I guess put in motion what you imagine.
Right. Yeah. I love
that.
And
it blew my mind because I was like, okay, it's always been something inside of me, like religion was never like always like, because I was raised up in like Christianity, but we didn't go to church like that. You know, my mom was very, very spiritual, and I ended up I have that spirituality as well. And I didn't really look at things as like religion. Like when I was in church, I always like cleave to the whole whatever the Holy Spirit was supposed to be. But I felt that, like, you know what I mean? And so I look at that, everything that is going on right now. When we say that we're spiritual, it's like kind of like the Holy Spirit, which is like kind of like the unseen, I would say.
Right.
For me, I really sat there and thought about that today. Like it's like unseen. Like, you know, the concept would be like, being something that can't be seen, then brought into to manifestation. So when I thought about that, I was like, oh, okay, that's what's been going on the whole time, you know. But then when he said what he said, I was like, okay, we like dissect and we put like all these different ways of, I guess, belief systems or how to do something in these different religions. But when I've always been intrigued by Buddhism, because I just like, not because of the actual religion, but just how they do stuff, the concept of sitting with yourself, being in alignment. And to me, I'm hearing from my higher self.
Right.
And when you hear from your higher self, you really hear, like, and especially you take heed to it, you really look at, you really follow the direction of the higher source, higher spirit, which is inside of your own self.
Right.
You start realizing it's not coming from outside people. When it does come from outside people, it's pretty much confirmation. It's like, oh, I heard that within me, and then somebody else come.
Oh, wait, you're cutting out. You're cutting out. Hold on.
Okay.
No, you're good. Okay.
It's like the concept is to me like, if I hear something within myself now, then somebody else will come along, like out the clear, or even something else forever, and it'll be like a confirmation of what I just heard. You see what I'm saying? So the way he was breaking that down, it was very easy concept, it was so easy to understand for me, I guess maybe because I'm at that level of hearing that. But it was like the meditation is like really the key.
Right.
And you know what it made me think of? Like when they talk about how Jesus went on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. All those things, all those concepts that we have like heard along the way. Buddha sitting under the what's it called? The Ganges Grove or
in the Jeddah Grove.
Jeddah Grove, you know? So it just correlated to me in that type of fashion. Like, you know, so you really need to really be sitting with yourself. We get a lot of information out here. Even if we're, you know, it worked for me, like even when you're angry about something or something bothers you, you need to sit with yourself for a minute, because there's so many different ways that a thing can really unravel. It doesn't have to be that first instinctive thing that you come off with out of anger.
Right.
To sit with yourself, look at it, feel it, and then decide from that point. And so that's what I gathered from it. It's like so powerful that we have all that inside of us to utilize, you know? So
see, that's the kicker for me. I was just looking up something because Bob Proctor, he talks about something, and he just like the 3D, 4D, 5D thing.
mm-hmm.
But you're literally taking from the spiritual, bringing it into like the body of you.
Yes. And
then walking the action out. So as you were talking, that's what my brain was doing. Wow. Because it's really, it sounds so abstract to people if you've never heard this concept. Like, because, you know, you think you just have things, like my phone's right here, like I have this thing, but I had to think that I even wanted this phone.
Right.
And it trickles down. So like you said, every single thing, it's everything. So even like the way I think about it now is like when we talk about like it being like, this is a movie, like this is your movie, you're the main character. So I think about it like when I have the thought in my brain, I see like a projector screen pulled down and it's being projected on the screen. And then I'm watching the movie, and then you're bringing it here though. So I love the part with the 5D going into meditation, because when you sit and listen, that's when you're getting your instructions. Right. That's the instructions. So instead of sitting and going, oh, I don't know, like you don't need to know the how. The how, that is the how. That is listening's the how. You don't need to know how, because it's already done. And even another thing that I was thinking about before, if you have a thought, even if it's the most ridiculous thought and it doesn't even make sense to you and it sounds abstract and huge and ginormous, that's God's thought. That's the first thought. Anything after that is you trying to make it more palatable for you.
Right.
So when you get that one big, huge push, that's like, you will be soaring to XYZ heights. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. That's the thought. That's your purpose that you're going to carry out. But a lot of people take that thought and they make it smaller and more palatable, and then they miss the boat.
Right.
They're missing the boat. But now I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, so now it's really just having the thought, getting the directions, and getting an action. And that's it.
Yeah.
And people, a lot of people talk about law of attraction and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, that's great. Law of attraction is a secondary law. Law of vibration, the frequency, all that stuff. You have to raise your vibration to even be able to access this information.
Yes.
To even have the awareness of what goes on, to be able to tap into yourself. Because your higher self is going to give, just like, for instance, your higher self is going to give you the information. The same way that when we were talking the other day, we're talking about bringing things from the unseen here. All of a sudden, I get a text message that gives me a book from somebody texts me this book, The 3 Magic Words. I look at the book, go through it, come to find out there's meditations in the book.
Yeah. And I was like, so after we had, because when you sent that thing with the 3D, 4D, 5D, we talked about that, we discussed that, and then like literally next day.
Yep. It was like, here's your hand delivered instructions of like where to go next.
Yeah.
And then we're sitting there and we're looking at the meditations, and literally the first meditation says, you will get the information when you're supposed to get it, not a minute sooner, not a minute later, right when you're supposed. And I'm like, this shit is so deep. So deep.
I'll say it's not early, it's not late, it just unfolds.
Yep, right on time.
And to me, that's explaining more like the middle path, because it's not this, it's not that. Because I think we put too much stigmatism on this or that.
What it's supposed to look like. Oh wait, you're cutting out. Okay, you're good. You're good.
This or that. I'm too old. I'm too young. I saw this lady, and some people might think it's cruel or whatever, but she was potty trained. She was getting her baby started on getting potty trained. But this is the thing. He's only like probably a month or two, but it's just the mindset. Not that he has to use the back, but just knowing. Why is that too early? Because we don't even understand that in Egypt and stuff like that, or ancient Egypt, whatever, there was already on calculus by like 2 in between, because you could teach certain things. And who made up the fact that you have to be this, or this in order to know something? You never know how that's
all programming.
Yeah.
Well, that's like anything, even with the kids, like even learning languages.
Especially like 0 to 7.
Yeah, that's like the key. See, this is why it's so important to, like, when you know things that are going to help your family, your friends, like, not everybody's going to want to hear you.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to want to listen to you. However, it's so important to throw the seeds out. Like, you talk about this all the time. You don't know who it's going to fall on. You don't know if people are going to take it. Somebody else may water the seed and go and do it. But like knowing these things and then sharing it with, like, your children, like I said, your family might not want to hear you, but your kids, like exposing them to this. If I would have had information like this exposed to me as a child, I would have had a totally different life. Because I didn't even know that I was a creator. It didn't occur to me until I remember specifically, I worked at an MLM, like a multi-level marketing company, and everybody used to copy and paste everyone's posts. They wouldn't think for themselves. They would just copy and paste. And I was guilty of it. I was doing it too because I saw that these people's posts were working. So I would copy, paste. But then the one day I was like, this doesn't sound like me though. I have to let people know who I am. I can make a post. Like, I'm a creator too. And I was like, wait, I'm a creator too?
See?
And then I was like, holy shit. Because it sounds so silly. But we don't realize we created even as moms, as mothers, we literally created people. We are vessels ushering in souls.
I can't do
what?
But yes, actually.
But literally, we're like doing all these things, and because society makes it like, oh, you popped a baby out, congratulations, get out of the hospital. You don't look at it like that. And then the one day I was like, wait a second, I'm a portal and a vessel ushering in souls into existence. Everyone can go sit down now. Thank you. Thank you. This is what I'm doing. I'm a creator. And like now it's so first of all, that in itself was very empowering for me. But like now, look at all the things you could do. And you didn't know you could do them before, but now you know. So it's like, all right, now what do you want to create? So like when we did a goal statement about this podcast.
Yes.
So Bob Proctor talked about writing a goal statement, getting super clear on what you want. And every day you write it down and you speak it out loud. So we're accountability partners. You message me, I message you. We voice note to each other.
Yes.
And like our goal statement created this podcast.
Yeah.
And now we're like figuring out like the next piece, like what are we going to create next? Because once you see something come into fruition from the unseen, there's no stopping you.
It's not. You're saying it's so funny. You know how we already do in the rooms and stuff like that. One thing that somebody says sparks you in a certain way, right? So when I'm hearing you, I'm hearing once you get hold of a magic wand, it's like bippity boppity boo, like ooh, ooh, ooh. You don't want to stop.
Nope.
Because you got this momentum going. Whatever stopped you before, that's out the way. And I'm gonna tell you something. What you just said, I heard where that is, and that's the thing. This is why we can't really be judgmental on other people, because it has to be that, hold up, wait a minute, I'm a creator. It has to be that turning within that happens. You don't know when that's going to happen for a person. And so you can't make that happen for a person. You know what I mean? It has to be something that happens in you. And that's something that happened like, oh, wait, hold up.
Yeah, like what? What do you mean?
Like start the process of it, and it's like very small sometimes. And it just goes and goes and goes. And once you're in, you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's really belief in yourself and having the faith. See, for me, the biggest change in my life in the last year is the belief in the unseen. Because we go into things blindfolded. We don't have directions. We're winging it. Like, I'm over here like infinite intelligence within me that knows all things. Please align me with my highest good. Like I'm asking, and then I'm seeing what's next. Like, I don't have expectations. I don't know how it's going to turn out.
Right.
But I know if I listen, and I know if I just follow the simple directions, like, because sometimes it's as simple as log into TikTok.
No,
today. Today, log into TikTok. I log into TikTok. I'm listening to a meditation, a subliminal meditation about wealth. Trying to reprogram my subconscious mind for abundance because I grew up in a very lack mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, if I'm going to create all this here, I have to start in here. So I look at this lady's page that I found. I click on a video, a random video.
Mm-hmm.
Boop. Here comes this book, The Abundance Book. I listen to The Abundance Book. 15 minutes in, my jaw is on the floor. It has me examining my whole life. But if I didn't listen to what I was told, and people are like, oh, you hear voices. No, you're not hearing voices. It's a nudge.
Yeah.
Or it's you having a conversation with you, because that's what your higher self is. It's you.
It is.
Like people are like, oh, are you talking? No, I'm getting quiet. And I know a lot of people have a lot of clutter, so they can't hear.
Wow.
They have a lot of clutter, so they're hearing doubt, shame, guilt, fear. See, we're smashing and demolishing shit here. Sorry. Like Florence, we found Florence Scovel Shinn, her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. And there is an affirmation in there, and I'm going to read it because anybody that's listening to this, we're smashing and demolishing over here because we're over here living our best lives. Like, we are divine. People need to know. You got to remember who you are, and like, you are creator. Mm-hmm. This affirmation is so powerful. Okay, here we go. Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life and How to Play It. Mm-hmm. She says, I now smash and demolish by my spoken word every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They shall return to the dust heap of their native nothingness, for they came from my own vain imaginings. I now make perfect records through the Christ within, the records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. This is the square of life, the game completed. Mm-hmm. What? When we heard this for the first time, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, what, Florence? Like, let's talk. Like this, I say this to myself all the time because we have things pop up, right? But you have to know who you're talking to.
Yes.
Your dialogue is with yourself. So you might hear your dad's voice. Like, I heard my dad's voice for a long time telling me I wasn't shit. Right. And I was like, that's not my dad. That's me. That's me thinking that's me playing this narrative over and over and over about how I'm a piece of shit and I have a felony and I'm not this and I'll never be anything. And but that was me creating that. Yeah, he might have said it, but like, I didn't have to keep telling myself that, but I did. So unfortunately, that played for a long time in my head until I was like, wait a second, it's only you in here. So the whole time you've been telling yourself you're not shit. So when we started listening, oh no, where'd you go? Okay, there you go. Are you back? Yes, I can't see you, but
I don't know what I did.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay, but I can hear you. I'm just gonna figure it out.
Okay. All right, we'll figure it out. Okay. But when we figured out, like, wait a second, we got to smash and demolish all these things that are laying dormant that we don't even know are here. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't even know. We have no clue because it's just something that has been going on in our own heads for so long. So now, here, wait, let me see.
Yeah, I don't know what I did.
If you click.
I think I know. Okay.
There you go. Okay. There you go. All right. But like, if you don't know to even reprogram or that you have subconscious shit going on, most people don't know how their brain works. But if you had a computer, you're going to read the directions. Yeah. Why are we not doing that with our own minds? No one does. Everybody's like, oh, somebody else must know better. You have to know yourself. And once you do, it's over. Like now, it's over. We're constantly creating in every breath, every moment, every word, every thought, emotion. And it's deep.
It's deep. It's deep.
It's deep.
And you literally have to get sick of like, you know, you have to get sick of doing the same thing and then expecting like different results.
Yep.
And like I said, a lot of stuff is like cliche to me before I really get like this ding 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 on what's really being said. And it really has to me happen to me.
Right.
You know, like I literally have, it's so funny because like you said with the whole like TikTok thing or whatever, or things that'll just come up and be confirmation. Like years ago, like about 4 years ago or maybe 3, I was in a situation and it was like, okay, if you keep on saying this, if you say this, I heard myself saying it another time after I said it, saying conversations, and it was like out of nowhere. It was like, okay, if you say that one more time, and I kept on saying, this is like Groundhog's Day, right?
Literally.
And it was literally like Groundhog's Day. I mean, to me, it was like, okay, there might be a little change here or there, but it's really the same thing that was going on with me. The same result was still coming up. And then it was so funny because like like the other day, I was listening to this little TikTok thing, and the guy was like, yeah, I mean, do you feel stuck? He was like, and if you think of like Groundhog's Day, then you know, Groundhog's Day was like a spiritual movie. Because if you think about what was going on in there, it was not until he opened up his heart that he changed one thing about that day, and then it started the momentum of the days being different.
Right.
And I literally was like, whoa. That's another thing. I did not realize, you know, you just walk around on this outer surface, you're like, oh, I'm fine, I'm happy, I can smile at somebody, I can be kind to someone, whatever it is, but you're not being kind to yourself. That's the thing.
Yep.
And I didn't realize how hardened my heart was. It's not hardened like I'm being mean to people, but really I was being mean to myself because I was allowing a lot of things in my life that was easy to place blame on. But because I didn't have the right perspective, like you're saying right now, you don't be having the right perspective of you are, you know what I'm saying, can even utilize these type of things that are inside of you. We're not taught this stuff, and we're not programmed that way. This has been like generation after generation after generation of doing the same stuff. You know what I mean? But it's like that one or somebody or whatever in the family. And then that, even with that, you have to get looked at in a certain type of way, like, okay, you're weird. Oh, you're you're outside of the box, whatever it is. But you have to somehow keep like that thing going, because for me, that's how I always been. But it's so funny because it's like now it's unfolding. After all these years, I've been like this since I was a little kid, and after all these years, it's just now unfolding. You know what I'm saying? Like, where I'm hearing results of.
Oh wait, you're cutting out. You're cutting out.
Okay.
No. Oh, not yet. Okay, there you go. Okay.
I don't know what's going on. Talk to these people about this. You know, you have to be okay somehow with yourself, and I remember not really being okay with that a lot of times. You know, but then it was not enough. Me being not okay with it was not enough for it to change me, and that's what I'd be so. I'm so happy about, because it's beneficial at this moment. You know what I mean? To have that type of thought process. But yeah, it's the journey is real. I mean, you know, it's a lot.
But it really is like when you get sick of yourself and you're finally like, you know what? This shit's not working.
Yeah, I got sick of myself.
I gotta try something else. And you know, it's funny because like you were saying about the families and stuff, like we've talked about this before. Like my family, I became a problem. And for me, I'm like, am I a problem though? Because I'm not subscribing to the years and years and years of programming.
Yeah.
Is that really a problem for me or for you? Am I making you uncomfortable? Yes.
Probably.
But that's what I'm here for. And I'm here to break generational bad habits, because that's what they are. A lot of people say generational curses. And yes, I give that a little bit of weight. But it's really the bad habits, because it's habits that people don't even realize that they have, because they're literally surviving. That's it. They're just surviving and they're doing their thing, and you got to go to work and you got to do this. Meanwhile, we're like, hey, you want to create something from the unseen today? What's our goal statement? What do you want to write? Like, my parents weren't doing that. My dad was telling me, shut up. He said, kids are to be seen and not heard. And like, both my parents have passed. I know there are maybe people out there listening to this where maybe people are running your life, or you have family that's constantly bossing you around or telling you what to do. And I got to tell you, there's no one who knows what's better for you than you. And that's it. And people could get, people might be like, oh, that's not true. Yeah, it is. If you get quiet and you connect to yourself and you really start listening to you, you're like your own magic 8-ball. You just have to ask. That's it. You have to ask for direction. Your higher self is going to answer you. Yeah. That's the 5D. That's the direction. Like, when you found that and I listened to that, I'm like, all right. So now I almost feel like that's the original blueprint, is the meditation. That's what I'm saying. The whole thing.
Listen, it's blowing me out of the water, because like one day I just got up and I was pregnant with my little girl, and I just had this, like you said, from the unseen. I got up and started sketching this picture. I'm showing you what it is. I started sketching this.
I love it.
Okay. And then that's a female Buddha, first of all. And I was shaking while I was doing it, because I was like, Buddhas aren't female. You see what I'm saying? Like, this whole thought process. And then I ran across a man in Clubhouse, and he started breaking down the whole concept of Buddha, Bodhisattvas. It was men and women. They did this whole exile against the fact that it was women. Cut that whole thing off. Cut that whole idea off. I don't know nothing about that. That's just something that came from the unseen.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And then to find this information, it's so much. It is so much. Like, that is literally the way. That is literally how you hear.
Yep.
And get divine direction on what to do here.
It's literally, and it's a formula. It really is. You say it all the time. It's a formula.
It is a formula. And literally, if you think about it, because like right now, I think that there's another guy that was in a Clubhouse room with us. He was saying that, like you said before, it takes 3 months for whatever what was he saying? Like, to develop something that you really want to.
Yeah, like an idea doesn't have like an actual timestamp date on it. Right. But if you look back like 3 months or so to today, because you can see where you got, how you got where you are now, but you can't see where you're going. Right. That's the thing. You're blind going into this shit. So you don't know where you're going, but you can look back and go, okay.
Believe, now you're saying something. Because if you're believing at that moment of creating that, you already know what it's going to turn out to be. You might not know.
That's the scene from the end. I'm telling you, like, you made my brain click the other day. My brain was like, what? Like, Like even today, I was thinking about. I was getting ready to do this little, like, I was listening to the meditation from that book.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait a minute. So this is what seeing from the end is. And I know I've thought it before.
Yeah.
And it's literally just picturing it, what you want it to look like. And I'm like, why was this so hard? Why was it so hard? Even if you want to have a conversation with the person, or if you want to like live in a home or drive in a car, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. You just see it and you're like, this is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not come in the time slot you think. That's the thing. It doesn't translate. It has to happen in your thought and in the spirit first.
Mm-hmm.
Then it comes here. It's not vice versa. So we're sitting and we're like, all right, so I have this thought and maybe it's going to take a couple months. Maybe it'll happen in a week. You don't know.
Right.
It's just that like a baby, a baby is 280 days. Like you got 9 months, you're going to pop a baby out. That's like an idea that came into life. Okay. But anything else doesn't have a time stamp on it. And time's not even real. It's not linear like we think. So we're like, okay, well, we did A, B, C, D. This has to happen right now. And then when people don't see it, they give up.
They forfeit it.
And they forfeit. They go down in vibration. They miss the boat. And they're like, oh, now I got to start from scratch.
Right.
Instead of staying like every day, you show up, you give it your best shot, and it's going to come. If you had the thought in your head, it is going to happen. Period. If you keep showing up in that vibration. But when you start going and backtracking,
like going down,
you're forfeiting.
Going back down.
Just like people calling things, asking for things, and then they're like, oh, wait, this doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like. So I'm not doing this. This is too much work. It's like, what did they say? Like you ask God for a cake, right? So you think you're going to get a fucking cake, but you don't get a cake. You get eggs, you get oil, you get flour. And then you're like, well, wait, this isn't a cake. No, it is. You got to make the cake now. And people are mad. So they're like, well, I don't want this cake. This is like too much work for me. And then they throw the cake in the garbage. And that's it. It's so silly, but like that's what it is. And like now, if you can create anything. So it's literally thinking the thought, tapping into yourself and listening. Just listening.
That's the thing.
Getting the divine direction. And then walking out the action here, even if it doesn't sound like what you think it should sound like. Having faith in the unseen. You wouldn't hear it if it wasn't for you. If it wasn't, you wouldn't even hear it. It wouldn't even be a thought that popped in your head. Just like when I have my little, like when I'm sitting there thinking about like what I want to ultimately do. Like I told you, I want to get paid to run my mouth. And that's what I want to do. I want to do it on a stage. I want to do it wherever I got to do it. But when I see myself, when I had my thought, my God thought, and I see myself, I got to believe that and have faith that what I'm doing every day is going to turn into that. It might not look like that now. Like, okay, now we're on iHeartRadio. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Amazon Music. We're on Audible. We're on this. We're on this.
Where were we last month?
Last month we were just sitting on Clubhouse, like do, like, oh, this is cute. Like now it's like no.
Too, that just really catapulted us.
Well, that was like that was the start. That was the start of like that was like priming us for bigger things, and every piece falls into place. But if we would have just stayed stuck, and I'm not saying stuck like, oh, we were stuck there, But if we just were okay with that, this wouldn't be. But because we believed in the unseen, we were told to do a podcast.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, we don't know how it's going to turn out. We don't know what this is going to look like.
Yeah.
This could be anything. But here we go. Every Thursday, we're like, hey, guys, happy Thursday. And here we are. And this is what it's going to be until the next piece unfolds.
Right. Exactly.
And when because really, sky is the limit. You can do whatever you want. You could create anything you want. And you don't know how, like I said, it doesn't have a time limit. It doesn't look what you think it might look like.
Yes.
Like for us, even Clubhouse, for anybody that's listening, Clubhouse is like a live, it's basically like a live podcast. You're on a stage, there's an audience. The audience can come up and engage with you if they want. I loved the app. I love the app. I still go on there. We're still on there. We go on Tuesday nights. If anybody ever wants to pop on at 9:30, we are on there. But like you go on there and you can engage with people, talk to people. That's how we grew. And without that, we would not even be on here. And I know that this is just priming us for the next piece,
most definitely,
which is probably going to be a talk show. And that is going to be the jam. And that's because we just are believing in the unseen and doing what we're told.
Yes.
Showing up here on a Thursday, talking shit and running our mouths about things that we know are going to help people. Like if you choose, you can change your life. We went for, we're going to have to talk next week. We're going to be talking about where Tanjani came from, what her life was looking like, and how much it changed, because you don't have to stay where you're at. You don't have to stay stuck. You can move at any time, but you have to listen. You have to listen. And when you hear the call and you hear these things, you can't ignore them. You can, but you're going to be at square one.
Well, yeah, but if there's so many outside distractions.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
At the top of this podcast today, Melissa was just saying how, we're going to talk about some stuff that's probably not like used, people are not used to hearing and stuff like that. I've had so many dreams and stuff that are like just now coming into, like, I'm getting more of an understanding. It might be something that Melissa says, like I said, it might be something that somebody else says. I'm like, oh, I get what that dream was saying.
Right.
And the dreams are so prophetic. Like, but what I can honestly say is it does not look the same as what I saw in the dream.
Right.
That's why you have to sit with yourself and listen to yourself. Like, I was listening to, I don't know how many hertz it was like some type of frequency. I came out and listened to that frequency. I heard stop outsourcing. And then I heard another time, you're not even your name. I'm telling you something. I have listened to those things because I wasn't scared, but I was like, whoa, like, who is that saying that? Like, what? And I always think about it every time, like if I'm getting into some type of mindset that I don't need to be in or whatever, it's like, stop outsourcing. You're not even your name. Because you're not. I am not this. I'm not just this. Like NDRE says, I am the soul that lives within.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And to know what that really means, to actually be living in that at this moment, it's amazing. It's amazing because when I thought that I was just this, then I was operating out of just this.
Right.
It's limited here, But when you can tap into the spiritual realm about anything, it takes you out of this, and you could go grab whatever and bring it back into this. And like you said, walk it out. But if you don't have that, all you have is what you see with these five senses that you have. That's why the guy was like, the 3D is the problem.
Right.
Right. because if you can't at least tap into your imagination, then you are not starting the process of creating for yourself.
Right.
You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? If you are just stuck in thinking that you just are just this, you are not able to really know that you can just like create from the unseen realm.
Right.
And then you won't go to the 5D to even sit with yourself to listen. So that's what I'm saying. The first thing to do is pretty much listen. And then quiet yourself, because it's so much going on that says differently than what your inner self is actually saying. That be the fight,
really,
that's the war. That be the, you know what I'm saying? It's not
that's
necessarily
the hardest
war
piece.
somebody else. Huh?
That's like the hardest piece for people, is just getting.
It's hard. It's hard.
Just sitting. But it doesn't even have to be like, some people think meditation has to be like, or whatever.
Thing.
You know, it doesn't have to be a whole thing. It could be going on a walk with your earbuds in but no music, or putting music on, or listening to a frequency, or riding your bicycle, or sitting quietly on a chair. Like, for me, when I'm walking, I'm in a flow. Don't like, when I am walking, that is my flow state.
Yes.
That's it. And like, yeah, I can sit and get quiet, but when I'm walking, that's when things come through for me. And that's when I'm really like, my brain is very active, but not in the sense of it being busy, but that it's
Right.
like I'm connected.
Yeah.
But if I didn't really sit and even know myself, you have to know yourself. You have to trust yourself. A lot of people don't even trust themselves. And you have to trust that, like, you're good. Like, there's no reason for you not to trust yourself. It took me years. I think I was like 40 before I really was like, you know what? Why would you steer you wrong? It never even occurred to me. It sounds so stupid. It never even occurred to me that I might know better. What? Like, I grew up my whole life like that. Always asking and outsourcing, just like you said, asking my dad, what should I do? And he's telling me from a perspective of a 58-year-old man.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell did he know about what the hell I was doing? He didn't. Right. And that's why when I listened, I'd be fucked up. But I was listening thinking, well, he's my dad. He must know better.
Yeah.
But he didn't know better for me, because everybody has their own journey. Everybody's got their own journey. We don't even know that. Like, even our kids are not even ours. They're here. We brought them here, right? They picked us to come through. But that doesn't mean they're ours forever. Like, we're equipping them for them to go on their journey, just like we're on our journey. Luckily, they're ahead of the game because we're equipped now where we weren't before. And that's from really getting right with the unseen and really going inside. Because when a lot of people are asking, like, oh, what should I do? Sit and listen to yourself. Go within.
Right.
Like, we tell people that all the time. Because it's the only way.
It's the only way. It is.
It is. It's the only way.
But it took, that's what I'm saying. You don't even know. Because it's not even about age or anything like that. It's just about the time that you are supposed to, I guess, get it or align. I don't even know what to say. I just know what happened to me. You know what I mean? And that's really what I want to just be out here expressing, is the fact that this is what happened to me, and it can happen for you. That's all.
I think even in that meditation that we just found, I think it even says in there that you already know internally when you're going to wake up. Like, you already know, but you forget. We all forget. And then you're here and you're going through, and then all of a sudden it happens where you wake up. But they said you already know when you're going to wake up. And it's not, some people might when they're young. And like for us, we're sitting here, like me, I'm 42 years old and I'm like just getting it within the last like couple of years. But that's exactly right on time because I experienced all the things I had to experience so that I can be on this podcast. So we can be sitting here talking about things that are going to help other people. But if we didn't go through all the stuff we've gone through, we wouldn't be able to help like as effectively as we can. Like we have a lot of experience with so many different things that are going to like set people's hearts open. You're going to be taking shackles off people, freeing their souls, literally.
And you know what? Sometimes it comes to a point where you're not saying nothing. You're not.
Yep.
It's not like a teaching thing. It's like a hug, or just I can feel your vibration that you understand where I'm coming from, or I see what you're going through and you can feel that I know.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
It's not necessarily going to be somebody saying something to someone.
It's just the simple. It's simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so we make everything so hard until you know that it's anything that feels resistant or frustrating or annoying. It's because it's not supposed to be going down. It's not for you, and that's anything. When you're not feeling resistance and you're just coming and you're just boom, boom, like even how this whole podcast unfolded. We literally went from Clubhouse here, boom, boom, boom. But it was a flow.
It's a flow.
A whole flow.
Like unlocking because.
Yep. Every piece unlocked the next piece.
It did. It was like for me. It was like until you. Because it was like I needed to go in and exercise my throat chakra. That's what I did, like for over a year in Clubhouse. I dedicated like almost like every single day,
Yeah.
And then we did the book, and then we did, we're doing the podcast and stuff. And then like right after that, I was like, okay, I'm about to launch the art website. That's on art. I had so much resentment and resistance toward art, the art that I did, because of like past reasons and blockages I didn't even know I had. So all what I've done has been taking the shackles off of that so I can be released in order to do it at this moment in time right now. Like it's so crazy because even when I hear, oh, you should have been, girl, this is so not good, you should have been, you don't really get it. Like I literally had to walk to this every single day, and it was like, okay, today's not the day. It's so deep. It's like it's sitting right here, right? But it's like it's not the day. And it's so funny because the day is here, and I didn't even know how it was going to be or look or seem or nothing like that, but it came.
Yeah.
The day came.
And it literally just unfolded like boom.
When I tried to force it, when I tried to like come and do, it was like, nope. Yeah. And then it was like, if I didn't see it from a spiritual standpoint, I would have felt like, and there are some days I felt like just the biggest L that you could even loser. You know what I mean? But that was me being hard on me and not really understanding what it was going to take for me to come back full circle to that, to actually my original self, my original blueprint, because nobody taught me how to draw or paint or none of that kind of stuff. And it was like the things I went through in my childhood, having to, raise my sisters and brother and stuff like that. It had me having responsibility so young. You know what I mean? And
right.
So to me,
Wait, hold on. Okay, go ahead. You were cutting out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Seeing things from the unseen, I didn't have no time for that. So that means I'm cutting off my imagination, right? I need to do what I need to do, get what I need to get. Let's get this stuff, You know what I'm saying? Everything in this 3D realm, we have to get it how I live. Like I braid hair. I've been doing that since I was 13 years old. Making sure me and my other sister, we make sure that our sisters and brother had what they needed. It's for the best of what we can do, So that put everything on the back burner. But then it made resentment along the way. So that's how far I was even away from it. So think about in a spiritual how I had to break down those barriers and even to get there. So you can say, oh, you're this age, you're in your 40s now, but it's not about that.
Mm-mm. Right
Like,
on time.
it's deep, and it's just really how you look at it, and the perspective of how you look at it. Because we can put all these titles, we can put all this stuff in front of our way, just because we're not meeting up to somebody else's standards, or we're not looking like what somebody else looks like. But you're not
Right.
supposed to look like what nobody else looks like, what you look like.
Yeah, you got to be in your own lane.
Yeah, you feel fitting your whole genetic makeup by trying to be somebody else that can't never be you. Not even twins are alike.
Yeah. And it's really, I know we've talked about this, but like the fact that we are walking manifestations of the Creator, it's really insulting to the Creator to sit and copy somebody, or to not be okay with your original self. You're literally like, no, God's not that great. That's what you're doing. But we don't even know.
That's deep.
So when I sit and think about it now, I'm like, I don't want to be like anybody. Like, we are literally like one of one.
Mm-hmm.
The original, like limited edition. Only one in production. Like, no one can ever be you.
No.
And that is that's so deep to me, because I used to look at people. I'll never forget in high school. There were these girls, and I was always like, oh, like I wish I looked like that. Like they had like perfect bodies and da da da. And I was looking at myself like I was like a fat little thing, and I was like, always looking at them. I never saw the beauty in myself. I always thought I was ugly. And what an insult to creation and the Creator to think I was ugly. But because I grew up always comparing, finally, at the age of 40, I was like, wait a second. You're not ugly. What is wrong with you? Like,
no.
What? But I grew up with that in my head.
Yeah.
Until I was like, wait a second. Now I'm like, no, you're one of a kind. You're not supposed to look like anybody else. No. You're not supposed to be like anybody else. And that's okay. But when I was growing up, I'm like seeing all these girls that were all the same. So I thought I was supposed to be the same too.
Yeah.
Not realizing that they were all doing themselves a disservice too, because
see, that's the thing. Yep.
Everybody was the same.
Yes. Yes. Because
everything
is getting you away from your God self, your higher self, your you know, because it's like that meditation said, what did he say? Everything is individual except spirit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we don't need to be doing the same stuff, looking the same way and all that type of stuff. The only thing we need to be doing is trying to align ourselves with the spirit so we can be in a collective and move, you know what I'm saying, in our individuality as one force. That's what we need to be doing, you know.
You know, it's funny because when you just said that, I made a post today, and this man commented. In the post, I talked about how, you know, you don't know who you're talking to. People see people as people, but they don't see this. You don't know who's in the spirit. You don't know who you're talking to. So you could be in the presence of earth angels and all these other spiritual beings you never know. And this is what he wrote. He said, all vessels are me. It's the same primordial source we call that fills each vessel. We're all connected by the same source. Some call it God, some soul, and others may call it the Holy Spirit. It's the same spirit running through all beings. But it's true. Yeah. And like in the spirit, you're one. But people, you're thinking people are these bodies. But it's really so much bigger than that. Like, it's all of creation all at once. Like, we're everything. Everything is us. We are everybody.
Yeah.
And that's
We
what
sat there.
that's so
see,
deep.
I love that he said that. Like, I love, because that's what I'm saying. That's the thought I was having earlier with just smashing, like you said, smashing, demolishing all this division.
Yep.
Because really, if people took the time, it's really saying the same thing. Like you said, you know, it's. I was thinking, like, if we just all just sat and just everybody just stopped.
Yep. And
it would just be a whole different thing, all overnight, literally.
But it's literally taking the time to look in yourself. Because once you look at yourself and see the beauty in yourself, it allows you to see the beauty in other people.
Yes.
But if you never thought you were a beautiful person to begin with, you're fighting the air. Like, people are out here fighting with themselves, fighting the air. They're yelling at you. Like, what are you so mad for? Do you need a hug? Like, can I give you a hug or something? Like, and I get it, because I used to be, I might have been like, I fell off for a little bit, but I was never mean to people. I never was like a hateful person. I was never trying to like fuck somebody's day up on purpose.
No,
I never did that. There are people out here doing that. They live for that.
And that's another rude awakening right there.
That's it's like, what are you so salty for? Stop. Like, it's okay.
I was so naive to that. I did not want to see that as a reality. I did not want to see that as a reality. Like, people are literally doing this on purpose, like, for real. That's your whole MO. That's hard for me. But I know that's another thing. I had to stop seeing stuff from my perspective, like, oh, la la la. No, people are really out here doing, especially these days. Everybody's doing hocus pocus.
Yep. Yeah, doing the most.
Who really just say, hey, this is what I heard, this is what happened with me, this is what I'm saying to happen, and boom. I'm just saying it so you can find it within yourself as well. No strings attached. I don't want nothing from you. I'm not trying to get nothing. You know, I have no hidden agendas. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to usurp your powers and gifts, because I see you. You don't see yourself. That's another thing. You don't see yourself in your light, but other people see you.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, okay, I'm not.
You know how many bullets we've dodged?
I'm not worthy. I feel like I'm nothing. But then you see me as what I really am.
Right.
And you're mad.
Yep. Don't be mad, get glad. I mean, honestly, like, but when you don't know who you are and people see your light, even though, like, you have a light, right? But when you don't really see it, you know how many bullets I've dodged? People trying to get one over because I didn't know. So, like, I was a good supporting character for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't showing up as the main character in this is my movie. You're the main character. I'm the main character in my life.
You know what?
And we together support each other. But people are out here trying to be like, okay, well, I'm the main character. You're going to be the assistant in my show, and that's it. And that's it. They're not like, oh, you know what? You're your own main character. You have your own life too.
That part.
I want to be here to encourage and support you and love on you along your journey. Yes. Let's do it together.
That part.
But that's why me and you work so well together as friends, as business partners, as podcast hosting, as doing this together, because that's who we are. Mm-hmm. We see the God in each other. Mm-hmm. We see source in each other. So we can sit and look at each other and go, oh my God, you're fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not,
and it's not exactly
no type of.
It's not competition. It's collaboration, because ultimately competition comes when you don't see yourself. When you don't see the true, like, source piece of you, then you're competing with people. You're looking in the other lane. What are they doing? Who are they talking to? What do they got? What are they do? But when you are collaborating, you're seeing the beauty in each other and going, you know what? This is amazing. I love doing this with you. I'm so happy I found you. You're like the missing piece to my puzzle.
Yes.
And that's why we mesh so well together, because we know, like, there's things I'm not good at that you're excellent at, and vice versa. We come together as a collaboration to make it what it is. But if you're not really comfortable with yourself, you can't allow people in your life to like do that with you. You have to be like a certain type of person to even allow the relationship to go that way. Because like you say, it's the reciprocity. People are not out here reciprocating. They're not at all. And I get it, because I didn't really know that was a thing until I found you. It never even occurred to me that I was supposed to have like reciprocity in a relationship with somebody.
Well, when I found out that was a spiritual law, I was like, dang. Whoa, what am I doing?
What have I been doing?
because I'm allowing that. Because that's how I think I found out that my heart was hardened, because I think that reciprocity is not necessarily like material things. I mean, like, it can come in so many different forms, but when you're giving of your heart space and it's like even exchange, you see what I'm saying?
Yep. It doesn't feel hard.
It goes in your heart. Like, it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you realize it's one heart flowing and pumping.
That part.
As Melissa, as Tanjani, as whoever. You see what I'm saying? You start getting that type of understanding about what's going on. And I just wouldn't have it any other way. Also, when you literally pray, I prayed about having someone that I could really flow and do stuff with. Like, I have, like I said, I have sisters and I have cousins and I have stuff like that. And we love each other and we do whatever, you know, but there are certain things, even with them, I'm sure that they might find somebody too that might be, you know, what they need or whatever to collectively conjoin on whatever you need to do. Like, knowing that you're the main character in your story, though. Right. But the thing about it is, I think that things rise up, because we can look at one thing about me. I like to look at things on both ends, right? Yeah, I can talk about what somebody else is doing and how they're acting and doing all that, but at the other end, I'm looking at, okay, well, maybe they had to act like that to get me to get. Come on now, you know.
Yep. To do what you're doing.
You never know. Like in another realm, that could be like the doctors with the you know what I'm saying, trying to get your heart back pumping and get it right.
Right.
So you can snap out of that coma that you might be, or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And when you have more of a broader perspective of things, you see things in different ways. You don't just keep that one scenario and roll with it like, oh, that's the end all tell all, because then you'll be stuck in that scenario and you're not going to be going no further. You're going to keep on producing more and more of that. You know what I'm saying? Yep. But if you look at that person, you alchemize the situation like, okay, well, that person came in my life to get me on my stuff, because what the hell was I doing sitting up there being somebody's footstool or doormat? Exactly. When I'm my own main character. Because anybody that comes with me is going to be a supporting actor in my movie, just like you. And so when you have respect for another person, knowing that other person is the main character in their movie, you're a servant to that person automatically, because you understand what's going on here,
and you know that it's not like anybody's trying to get anything from you.
Nobody, because you can't really.
You can't. You're just doing. Like, for me, there's nothing I would rather see than you succeed.
Yeah,
that's just where we're at. Like, that's what we're doing. But we're doing it together and helping each other to grow.
But how do you sit up there and want to see somebody else grow, but you don't want to see yourself grow? That was me. You don't see yourself growing. You see that other person that's got you. So you're already giving away your
power,
main character role to the. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people are just supporting actors in their movie. I remember specifically, I was walking, I was out for my morning walk, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, wait a second. If this was a video game, I have the controller. I have an avatar.
Don't get me started on that.
I'm moving throughout my game with my controller as the main person. But I haven't been showing up as the main person. I've been showing up as
straight getting your ass all across the game.
As the mom making chicken nuggets. Like I'm the chicken nugget maker. Like what? No, I'm the main character. Wait a minute. Like, yeah, I can make chicken nuggets, but that's not all I'm doing here. No. But it didn't occur to me. I'm telling you, some of these things were so profound when they like popped in my head, and it sounds so silly.
It's a stab.
But it literally was like, wait, you're not the main character in your own movie? What the fuck are you doing? Yeah. I had to really sit with that and be like, wait a second. So how do I become the main character? Like we should talk that's going to be a whole episode. How do you become the main character in your movie? Because people don't know they're even the main character.
No.
I'm writing this down.
It's deep.
I love it.
What was that thing that you read earlier about the parent thing? Parents. You lose that? About parents realizing their dreams or something? That's a great thing.
Oh, I'm gonna read this and then this is gonna be like a mic drop. And
Sorry to end it like are you
so I was scrolling today and I read this thing from Ed Milet, and I love him. I follow his page on Instagram, and he's a bomb dropper. So this
wait, before you go there, we were literally talking about it. That's the whole part.
We were talking about
the whole concept, okay? And then this lady right here who is straight up, I call her a spiritual librarian. I call her Sherlock Holmes. The things come to her. It's so deep. It's so crazy. Like honestly, you gotta see it. It's deep. Like it says, "Oh, look what I found."
Like, and this happens with books. This happens with articles. All the types of stuff. So we're talking about how, as a parent, like you have to realize your dreams. Like you have to. So here's this post I find. It says, one of the most insidious forms of child neglect is a parent who doesn't chase their dreams and potential. Like what? And this is so true because you're setting the tone for everything that goes on with your children with your actions and behavior. So if you're not chasing your dreams, you're basically saying, you know what? Don't chase yours. Enjoy. Like, have a great life. What? Ma'am.
You think about how long this has been going on, though, for generation after generation.
Yeah. After generation, thinking that you're just good enough to make chicken nuggets. You're a chicken nugget maker.
You're literally seeing me sitting up here doing a podcast, sitting up here doing art.
Yep.
Here, you know what I'm saying?
Watching you chase your dreams.
You know what I'm saying? And balancing the whole thing out.
Yep.
I have days, I have okay days, whatever, with the whole balancing, but hey, we're doing it. And man.
Even but creating, literally just to like touch on this, like before we go, creating from the unseen is all of these things. Realizing your dreams, the thoughts that you think, everything that you've thought, the things you thought about, but you're like, oh, I could never do that.
Right.
Those are your dreams. You can't throw them away because your children are going to grow up and leave you. You might be married. You might not in a month. You don't know. So stop living for everybody else, and you gotta live for you. when you do that, you're living for yourself, but you're literally inspiring the people around you. When you're the best version of you, everybody else will benefit from that.
Yes.
Everybody benefits from it, not
Yes.
just you. I mean, you have to show up for you in order for others to see. But if you're not doing it and you're not inspiring your own family, like you got to be a leader in your own home first. You got to lead yourself to lead others.
Mm.
And it's really like that quote, that shit knocked me right in the head.
Yeah, it was kind of, because you're saying
Ugh,
insidious. You're saying what? Like
insidious. Like
that's
what?
deep.
Oh, and equating it to child abuse, because really at the end of the day, he's right.
But look at what it's saying. It's saying like you're not even being yourself by doing that.
Nope.
You're not
Nope.
really being your true highest self or your real self even doing
Nope.
that. You know
No,
what I mean?
you're playing small and you're just doing the motions. Like you're like, okay, I'm a body. I wake up in the morning. I go to work. I make sure the kids are fed. But like, what else are you doing?
What
though?
about you? You just
What about you and your life? Like, what are you doing? Like, when I wrote in that first book that I was in, that's when I realized how much I loved to write.
Yeah.
I hadn't written anything in like 20 years from high school. And then I wrote in that book and I was like, wait, am I a writer? I think I'm a writer.
No, for real.
I think I can. And then I was like, wait, I think I can. I think I can. And then, then we go into I'm in the second book and I'm writing in there. And then
I wrote in that like water. That was like boom. Because I work so good under pressure. I don't know why. It's sad. It's sad. But I'm talking about boom. Everything just came, and it was like done.
Yeah. And that's
like you said, I didn't exercise that in so dang long. It's pathetic.
And who knew? Like, who knew that was something that would come so easily? But if we're not focusing on us, how the hell would we know?
Mm-hmm.
That's why now it's like anything that we entertain or even think about, I'm like, let's do it. Like, let's do it because we can. Because you can do anything. You're creating from a thought. If you can think a thought, you can create whatever you want. The life of your dreams, however you want it to look, you can do it. So you like owe it to yourself, to your higher self. Like you're here as source. You're a walking manifestation of the creator.
Yes.
You're supposed to be creating. And if you're not, you're really not doing shit. And it sounds harsh, but you're not. You're not living to your full potential. Like source wants to experience the most fullest version of itself. So if you're creating, that's you. You're the creator. But if you're not doing that, you're really limiting and it's insulting to your God self because you're not fulfilling that piece of creation.
Yes.
Now I look at everything so differently. Like I was not like this a year ago. So if anybody's listening to this and they're like, oh God, I don't know what you're talking about. This is not a new thing. Like this is new, but it's not new. Like I didn't get this way overnight, but seeing how it works and all the pieces that are falling into place, like even talking about creating from the unseen, it's literally having the thought, listening for the directions from your higher self, and then getting into action. That's it. It's simple.
When I wrote in the book, like everything's coming together and fall, whatever, like Tetris, like the pieces getting together, just
literally
coming down like Tetris.
Literally.
All the things that was in the way. Once you start moving and getting in motion, you just start breaking down barriers, breaking down walls.
Yeah, and it falls into place literally. Like, the whole journey so far, even like from going on Clubhouse to now, like that was like a piece by piece, brick by brick progression. And like it didn't happen in a certain amount of time, and we didn't know what it was going to look like. And even what we're doing every week, like every day, we're literally winging it. We're
Mhm.
going in blind, but
Right.
we're believing and having faith in knowing that we're not going to get steered wrong.
Right.
And for some people, that's really hard because people want a concrete, you're doing this and this is how it works and and that's not how it works.
Mm-mm.
That's not how it works. So
Nope.
if you want to create from the unseen and that's something that like you're like, all right, I think I could do this. You have to have faith in the unseen. You have to just know it's going to work out. And a lot of times it works out better than you could have ever imagined it because our little brains here can't even wrap around what God has in store for us.
Girl,
We're
wait.
not even meant to. We're not even
Before
meant
we
to.
go, like if you want to talk about that, I want to talk about really quick how I just made this painting of this
Go ahead. Yep.
galaxy, I don't know, person in the Buddha pose or whatever. And it was the same exact, this is like what, months, like
In May.
I made it.
Yep.
Yeah. I go to watch the movie. Well, my cousin saw it first. I go to watch the movie, the Thor movie, and it has the same image in the movie. Like exactly the same. Like I don't even know what to do right now. Like it's so, like this journey has been so unexplainable that, like what she's saying is the truth. Like don't wait on you. Don't wait. Don't think that, oh, one day because honestly
Nope.
it's all designed for you to just forget about you and throw it away, but build everybody else around you. And you can actually have balance with it, especially when you like love you first, and then not first, but love you, and then it's going to radiate towards to other people.
Yep.
But don't leave yourself in the dust. Not one more day, because I'm not.
Nope. We're out here. You can follow any, like literally any dream you have, anything you even think, anything you've ever thought. And you don't have to wait for these things to happen. You can do it today. It's simply a mindset, like a tweak. And I know that it's hard for people when you're caught up in the muck and you're feeling a certain type of way. But like, ask for help.
Yeah.
Like that's what we do. This is what we do. Like
we have so much help that we don't really know.
We talk to people all the time about this. Like, and I know that it's hard to ask for help because I never wanted to ask for help myself.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to ask for help, do it yourself. Like say to yourself, what do I need to do for my next step? And then listen. That's it. And then once you listen, you're going to get the directions. Because to be honest with you, from where I was in 2019 to now, I'm a different person. And I didn't ask anybody for help. If I would have, it wouldn't have probably taken me so long. But I was very like, I want to do this myself. Like, this is my journey. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm showing up and I'm doing. And I would listen, and whatever I was told to do, I would do, whether it was listening to a subliminal meditation on YouTube or journaling or writing affirmations or gratitude, whatever came up, I did it. I was obedient to what I was told. But if you need help, ask.
Because when you're saying told, it's like that spirit, those spiritual eyes and that spiritual ear that you have. Those are all unseen too, because I feel like everything that you have here, especially like the five senses you have there as well, but it's not visual.
Have here. Right.
You know what I mean? So you're hearing and you're being obedient to that call or that voice. And my sheep hear my voice. There's all these different things that we hear, not even knowing what that really is meaning until
not even knowing it's you.
Upon you. I mean, so that's why it's not.
Oh wait, you're cutting out.
Oh, am I better?
You're good now. You're good.
You can't just force something down somebody's throat. You can just be an example. That's what you have
Exactly.
to do. Just be light, whatever, so you can, just kind of, if they ask, you have answers. But if they don't ask, you just show them by just being who, what you need to be.
Yep. Showing up and being, even if you be yourself, even if it annoys people. I mean, me personally, don't ever let me know that I annoy you, because I'm just going to be me all day anyway. But like, that annoys people because people don't know how to be themselves.
Yeah.
And that's sad. It's sad. But again, you don't have to stay that way. And that's the beauty of all of this, is that it's literally your choice every day. You choose every day. You can choose to create, or you can choose to disintegrate. It's your choice. Like, you can choose to keep going, or you choose not to. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So it's a choice. You do what you want with it. But that's why I feel like, for me, and this is why I love the fact that we even get to do this.
Yeah.
I know that somebody's going to listen to this and be like, holy shit. Holy shit. And it could be somebody that's 70 years old, like, holy shit, I'm about to go create my own podcast. Yeah. Or holy, I'm about to go star in a movie, or whatever they want to make up. They can make it up and do it. And it's literally that simple. It's really, it's silly. It's simple. But if you need help,
talked about that too. Steve Harvey, a couple of other people, they were just saying, like, they got into their, like, I think well into their 40s or more or above, and got started. I mean, it's not about necessarily being a celebrity, but they really,
but like, any age,
stop sleeping on themselves.
Yep. Yeah. And that's really, I mean, it's so deep. The whole thing is deep. And the fact that you really do sleep on yourself, and then one day you're like, wait a second, I'm about to get into action here. And then as you go along, you learn more and more. And I mean, we've been doing this together for a while, like, growing and learning together. And like, now what we just came across, like, I love that we got to talk about this tonight, because we're doing this stuff in real time. This isn't stuff we're just talking, like, blowing out of our ass. Like, this is like we're true to this. Like, this is what we do.
A new adventure every day. Like, what do we
like a whole treasure hunt we're on, and being the best versions of us. Like, it's really what we do. And just even talking about this tonight, like, showing people how to create, knowing that you're a creator, like, this will put you ahead of the game. So, try it. And even if you're like, I don't know if it'll work, just try it. And if we're wrong, okay, we're wrong. But I know if somebody would have told me this years ago, I don't know that I necessarily could have received it. But if I tried it and it worked, that would have been a game changer for me. But I didn't know anybody that even thought like this, or even had this access to this information.
Right.
So, like, now, like, if you hear it and you're like, I don't know, try it. And if we're wrong, then tell us we're wrong. But if we're right, you might come out with a bestseller, or you might have your own art studio, or you might start your own radio show. Like, you don't know. You can do anything. So I hope everybody enjoyed this tonight. I know this is one of my favorite things to talk about. And I love being able to do this with you, Tanjanique. I love you. I love you. I love you. And we will be back next Thursday night at 9 p.m. And we're going to talk about Tanjanique, and we're going to talk about where she came from to where she's at now, and what that looks like, and how that translates for her. And when you hear her story, I'm not going to give away too much, because I want you guys to hear it out of her mouth next week. But you're really going to be mind blown. I don't know if people are ready for, like, the hard truth of, like, what your life looks like to what you made it into now is beautiful. Wow. And I'm so proud of you. I really am so proud of you, because
thank you.
Listen, we're all going through shit, but you don't give up.
No, I don't.
You don't give up.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to watch because watching you grow, especially I've known you now for a year. It'll be a year next month.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of growth in the year,
You too.
sick.
Yeah.
We're sick with it. We're sick with
Yeah,
it. We're just doing,
yeah.
but we're doing what we're told from our
Mhm.
higher selves, and that this is what it looks like going from changing and transforming versions of ourselves daily, doing self-improvement daily. Like it's a beautiful thing, doing the work, showing up and doing it, and then showing other people like, hey, it is possible. You could do it too.
Yeah.
You just got to show up for yourself. And that's just what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly.
Nope. This is the shit. I love it.
This is it.
All right, everybody. So thank you for joining us. We love you so much, and we will see you next Thursday. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Love you. Bye.